Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Macrocast, your source for news and entertainment with the minds behind Macro Records. I'm Mattson. My co-host Download is once again MIA. He is in LA for Thanksgiving. He won't be back for the next week's podcast either, but I'm going to see what I can do. Maybe I can meet up with Watch Out Loud again and have him co-host with me. This week's episode, really short. I just didn't want to go a week without giving you guys something to listen to or, actually having some content for the podcast. So I figured I would come and do a short episode for you guys today. Let's start off with a little bit of macro news. The release that's out today is Roberto Aloigi, Job Interview and Running. The first track you're going to hear at the beginning of the podcast is Job Interview, and at the end of the podcast you'll hear Running. Both tracks are available today, exclusively on Beatport via Macro Records. Go pick them up now. Don't forget, go check out our store, shop.thisismacro.com. It has all our designs, and you can pick them up today. They make some really nice Christmas gifts, so go ahead and pick one up today, and, give it to that person who you don't know what to get for Christmas this year. Also, in macro news, next week's release, I don't believe there is one, but I'll bring you guys something really awesome to listen to if there isn't. And that's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit of TV news. First off, Game of Thrones. Everyone is curious about what's going to happen next season, how many more seasons we're even going to go, and, where the story is really heading with Game of Thrones. There have been rumors out there that Hodor and Bran's characters are not even in this next season. So it kind of, it's food for thought in terms of what exactly is Game of Thrones planning for next year. And I personally cannot look forward to it enough. So don't forget, you can go to threeeyedraven.com. It's a new website Game of Thrones just launched to, continue to receive visions of the future, as they like to say. And you can see what's coming for Game of Thrones. So far, all we've seen is about a 10-second teaser with Arya laying there, and that was about it. But don't forget, go to threeeyedraven.com, and you can keep track of, all the little tidbits they're releasing for the next season of Game of Thrones. In other news, this last week was the Gotham mid-season finale. I know me and Download had talked a bit about Gotham last week, and, we've been talking about it on the show since it started. And, I'm a fan of the show. I enjoy the acting. It's really solid. It's more lacking in terms of storytelling, and I feel like it's kind of not there. Especially the focus on, Bruce Wayne is totally unnecessary in this show. I feel like they're trying to just remind you that this show is about Batman. I think even Download said, all the villains, they've all got some kind of ode to who they're going to become, and it's constantly in your face. Oh, here's the Joker, and, here's the Penguin, or... It's hard to watch the show when they're kind of spoon-feeding you that. I'm not, the Penguin went away for one episode, we talked about that, and was back the next episode. I totally feel like the Penguin shouldn't even be, he shouldn't have even came back for at least another season, maybe two, and they could have focused more on storytelling. And I think they're too focused on, their ratings, which, obviously any TV show is going to be focused on the ratings, but I feel like they're letting that drive the direction that the show is going in terms of storytelling, and it's really not working out for them. The mid-season finale was exactly, it was a lot more of that. More Bruce Wayne and Selena Kyle, who, honestly, I don't even want to see these two characters in this show. Not yet. I mean, trying to show us, an angst teen Batman and who's, like, listening to metal and cutting himself is totally not what I think true comic book fans, or true DC fans for that matter, are looking for in this show. They're looking for DC to step up and take the fight to Marvel and bring the fans something they'll love, and bring something that people who don't love DC can use to get into DC. Because that's the problem. Marvel dominates in terms of popularity. And I actually read an article today about all the characters that Marvel has actually stolen from DC, or all the characters that they have mirrored. All of them except for maybe one or two were originally done by DC, and Marvel ended up copying them. And no, I'm not in the same boat as Download. I thoroughly enjoy Marvel's content. I enjoy the characters. I enjoy the fun nature of it, which is, that's the type of enjoyment I get out of the Marvel content more than what I get out of the DC content. But the thing is, that's not what I expect or what I want from DC content. DC is really good at telling stories, and character stories for that matter. Having a character progress from one stage to another is something you don't always see with Marvel. They're always set in their ways, or they're, really... I don't want to use the word stereotypical, but I mean, like, a generalized view. It's really homogenized, and that's what I love about DC, is it's not that. And it's not always, it's not always lovey-dovey, and it's not always, what you want, but they tell amazing stories, and I just want to see some of that translated into their TV universe. This week on The Flash and Arrow is their crossover, and I'm really looking forward to that. So I'll talk about that next week, and you guys can hear my thoughts on it. Tonight is The Walking Dead mid-season finale. I'm also looking forward to this. Someone on IGN commented, "I feel like every season of this show ever completely splits the fan base. It's either the absolute worst or the absolute best. Never any middle ground." And Democ1214, I agree with you 100%. There's something about The Walking Dead that, each season they alienate half their viewers, and the other half are like, oh my god, this is amazing. I remember when we had resident blog author Roel Chacon on the podcast last, he said, he mentioned how he wasn't happy with the show, and how he felt bored watching it. And I can kind of see that. I can see how someone can get bored. But the thing with any AMC TV show is they're also good at that one major thing, telling stories. And sometimes, especially in a zombie apocalypse setting like this, the stories are what's keeping the show going. I mean, the bits of action are fun, and they're cringeworthy, or they gross you out, and they're cool to look at. But what really moves a show like this is characters and the story, and their experiences and what they're going through. And I feel sometimes that The Walking Dead has to move at that slow pace to kind of make sure they tell the stories correctly, and that the viewer understands this is why that character is here, and this is they can kind of give you a glimpse into where that character is going, and it's really awesome. That's what I love about Walking Dead. And this season has been phenomenal, man. Last season was kind of slow for me, like a little too slow, but this season has been perfect for me. And I'm really looking forward to tonight's mid-season finale and to see what happens with the group. I won't give any spoilers. I'll leave that to the Talking Dead, and you guys can go watch it for yourself and, see what happens tonight on The Walking Dead. So before I talk a little bit of movie news, and it's probably going to be the end of our show after that, I wanted to give you guys a heads up. On December 1st, which is today, the day this podcast comes out, there's been a lot of stuff that has been removed from Netflix. And someone mentioned this in a forum that I was looking at, they were curious as to how Netflix, they get all these movies and then they don't renew their contract with these people. Especially when that's the one thing that Netflix is constantly lacking in many people's eyes is good movies. So it's weird for me to see Netflix taking out a bunch of movies. These are all movies. Let me go ahead and list a couple of them so you can get an idea of what's leaving Netflix. An Officer and a Gentleman. Great movie. It's just there on Netflix to be there. I can't imagine there's many people watching An Officer and a Gentleman, but I feel like them taking away stuff like this is not good. It doesn't bode well for the future of Netflix, especially with the rumors of a price increase coming very soon. Coffee and Cigarettes, Dirty Dancing. Dirty Dancing is a classic, so I have a feeling that there's probably some people who have Netflix just to watch Dirty Dancing. Ladies, I know you're out there. Going Berserk, The Great Waldo Pepper, Joe Kidd, Ishtar, King of the Hill. Now, I don't think this is the TV show. It looks like a movie called King of the Hill. Johnny Mnemonic with Keanu Reeves. It's an interesting movie. I always enjoyed it. I feel like it probably wouldn't hold up very well if I saw it today, but still a cool movie. Night of the Creeps. No idea what that is. And The Untouchables, Swashbuckler, Young Sherlock Holmes, RoboCop 2, The Proposition, The Promise, The Reds, The Paper Chase, Paradise Alley, Night of Opal Dream, Magicians, Mission Impossible 3. So there's a lot of stuff leaving Netflix. I encourage you to go check out the full list, and I feel like it's time for us to start pushing on Netflix a little bit. I know there's a lot of Netflix subscribers out there, so I know chances are one of you is hearing this and is like, yes, dude, yes, push against them, because Netflix needs to bring more movies. They do a great job of having TV shows, great TV shows, and even then, they don't even have all the TV shows. I know a lot of people who go to Amazon Prime or Hulu Plus just to get their specific TV shows, but in terms of movies, I feel like if they up their game in terms of what movies they had on Netflix, and I know it's going to cost them money, but if they were to invest just a little more in what kind of movies that they have on Netflix, I feel like they could significantly increase their subscriber base. So, Netflix, I hope you're taking notes. If you want, you can hire me, just let me know. And let's talk a little bit of Superman news. Now, this isn't really news in terms of the movies. This is about actor Henry Cavill. He was recently in town, in our town, El Paso, Texas, and he stopped by at a gym called Black Flag Strength and Conditioning to do some training while in El Paso. In between his stops, I think he was going to Deming for filming of Batman v Superman. I wonder what kind of scenes they're shooting out in Deming. But Henry Cavill was here in town. Apparently his manager was friends with the owner of Black Flag Strength and Conditioning, and he called him up and asked if he could close down his gym and let Henry Cavill come work out there. And so this is what the Black Flag general manager, Nick Quintela, said. It was unexpected, but very cool. He's a pretty strong guy. He's very nice, very polite, but trains really hard. It was fun. So I'm really, really looking forward to Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. I know it's not coming out until 2016, but even then, I feel like starting maybe in 2016 is when Marvel is really going to come out this hard, or when DC is really going to come out this hard, and we're going to see, a lot more of this dark and edgy DC material that, encapsulates what the idea is behind DC Comics and what they stand for in terms of their characters. I'm really, really looking forward to it. I actually got to go see The Hunger Games: Mockingjay Part 1. A lot of people told me that it was not as good as the first two, but still a solid movie. I enjoyed every minute of it. It was, seeing Philip Seymour Hoffman on screen, it's sad to think that that was his last role, but he's amazing at it. And it's not, he doesn't, I don't want to say he doesn't play a big part, but his character is not really, he's instrumental in certain ways, but he's kind of, there's moments when you see the human elements of that character, and, stuff that makes him highly relatable to someone who's watching the movie. And overall, I thought he did a fantastic job. Julianne Moore, oh my god, like, seeing her in a role like that was really interesting. I don't think I've ever seen her do anything quite like that, and I thoroughly enjoyed it all the way through. Jennifer Lawrence, amazing. She does her thing as Katniss Everdeen, and it never seems to fail her. Natalie Dormer played a small part. She is amazing as well, and her part, just like Hoffman's, wasn't super instrumental in terms of the entire movie. I mean, it slightly was. It had an effect on the characters, but her acting was phenomenal, and it really evoked. I feel like if she was on set, that was probably an interesting experience for her as well. So I'd like to hear more her thoughts actually on the movie, and I'm sure they're out there. I can find them. I recommend going to see it. It's a lot darker than the last two Hunger Games, but I wasn't against that. I think that's my prerogative as a somewhat older viewer, because I know the Hunger Games can be geared towards a younger audience, that, the darkness in this newer film it really sold it for me. And like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed every minute of that movie. I look forward to seeing part 2, so can't wait. So, our biggest piece of movie news, Star Wars Episode 7 teaser was released. And so let's go ahead and take a look at it.
There has been an awakening. Have you felt it?
Overall, for what it is, a short little teaser, it looks really, really awesome. The Stormtroopers. At first, I was kind of a little, I didn't necessarily feel great about them, but after some thought, I really think they went a smart direction with the Stormtroopers. Like, they look slightly different, they have a more polished look to them, and I feel like that's kind of indicative of, that 30-year process that they've been through, Seeing as how all the books after that take place after Episode 4 in this time period that we're now going to be re-exploring through these movies is made non-canon, it really interests me to see what they've done and see the reasons behind these changes. The droid on the ball, really, I mean, that's like a fun little aspect. The internet is kind of blown up over that thing, and is, they're not too happy with JJ for putting Wall-E in Star Wars, but I thought it looked cool. The X-Wings, they look amazing, they have the same feel that they did in episodes 4, 5, and 6, but they look a little bit better, and I think that just has to do with, obviously, with the technology they have nowadays, that they've made these X-Wings look amazing. The pilot in the X-Wing, I didn't really like his helmet. It looked a little funky, but I feel like that that is not going to bother me that much. So, also, the lightsaber, for those of you that are interested, is a crossguard lightsaber. The internet is also really blown up over this. There's been a lot of memes and parodies about it because, it seems highly impractical. But it's called a crossguard saber. It's pretty rare, even in terms of the expanded universe of Star Wars, to see someone with a crossguard saber. So, I mean, a true Star Wars fan, I want to say like myself, is probably thinking, who is that? Because this person is obviously pretty extraordinary if they possess a crossguard lightsaber. So I'm really interested to find out who our big bad is in Episode 7. The Millennium Falcon, the one thing everyone loves about this new trailer, it looks amazing. It looks just as good as it did, slightly better. I mean, everyone's looking forward to seeing their favorite rascal in action, Han Solo. And so am I. And that's our show. If you want to learn more about Macro Records, don't forget to go to thisismacro.com. It's the hub for all things macro. Our store, our Let's Plays, our blog, our podcast, everything we do here at Macro Records is there at thisismacro.com. Just a short little plug for download. His release, Systems Corrupted, came out last week, exclusively on Beatport. Go pick it up today. Also, pick up Roberto Luigi's new EP, which is also came out today. And it's also available exclusively on Beatport, so go pick that up. And thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next week.
And